Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.
A little bit late, but this is the February 9th, 2022 meeting of the North Bennington Graded School District Prudential Committee. And we'll open with, I'll introduce everybody who's on the committee that's here. Myself, Ray Molyneux, I'm the chairperson. Lori Elwell, who's the district clerk. Matthew Patterson, who's the vice chair of the board. Kiernan McNamara, who's a member of the board, and Kim Kroll, who's a member of the board. We're also joined by Laura Boudreau, and who's back there? Is that Renee?
Yes, Renee.
Hey, Renee.
Hi.
At central office, who are hosting the meeting for the public in case any public shows up, and no one has shown up other than those ladies. And Cat TV is recording. So given that there's no public, we'll jump right into financial, except Mary's not here and I'm not sure if she's going to be here. She didn't notify me.
Yes, she did, Ray. She sent you the treasurer's report.
Yes, she did. But
and she's in California.
She's in California. Okay.
Yeah.
So unless there are questions about the treasurer's report, which I did look at when it came, I think we'll just move on to other business. There are no policies that I know of. And the superintendent's report. We have the consent agenda, sorry. We should take care of the consent agenda. So there's, actually, I don't have it. I knew there was something I was supposed to do. Okay.
We can bring it up if I could find it.
So there's a payment to the village school. The amount was adjusted to the second, to the actual number of students that we're paying for the whole year, which is 108.5. So there's an adjustment in the monthly payment in order to by the end of our payments in May that we will have paid for 108.5 students. Then there's, I believe there are payments for Highland Hall, Southshire. I
have it, Ray.
Sacred Heart.
Rattle through it.
Yep. Do you have it there, Renee?
Yep. So there was a payment to Cat TV for broadcasting their Lori Elwell minutes.
Right.
Express copy for envelopes and voter
Yes.
checklists and Grace Christian School and Village School. And then also in there, the one that you had already approved, but we're just going to include it for board signatures, was for the postal service for the stamps.
Okay. We don't have payments to Highland Hall, Southshire, Sacred Heart in there. That's next
Nope.
month.
Yep,
Okay.
not on this one.
Right, thanks. Okay, so all in favor of, and we also have the minutes from last month. So if there's, would someone like to move
I'll
that
make
we
a
approve
motion
these?
to accept the consent agenda.
Thank you,
I will second that.
thank you. Any discussion of the same? I mean, the expenses for the postage and envelopes, was it? Is that what you got on there, Lori?
Yes.
Yep. That's all the postage and envelope expense. Right.
Yeah, as far as I
Okay.
know, I mean, last year I had to buy a few more stamps.
Okay.
Um,
And we still have the ballots to pay for.
yeah, and yes, that's correct.
And then there will be the people working the poll in March 1st, March 2nd, whichever it is, March 1st. Those will come later. After
Right,
that,
and there'll be the
that's over.
labor for the,
For stuffing the envelopes and so forth, yes. Okay. So, all in favor? Aye. All
Aye.
right. Do we have policies on the agenda? Because I don't see the agenda. I can't see it at the moment. I will depart. just
no,
so I
there's
can see.
nothing on there, Ray, for policies. It says none.
Yep. And so we're to the superintendent's report, okay?
Okay. So thank you. I'm glad I could be with you tonight. I was with you in the winter, the early winter, and I shared that as part of my responsibility is co-coordinator of recovery for the SVSU. And the first pillar that we shared with all of the boards was around mental health and well-being of our students. So I gave you a little snippet of information about the work that the district is doing in regards to that tier. And that truly is the foundation of as we support children in coming hopefully out of the pandemic and returning to school. That is where our focus initially was placed. And so we were able to access lots of resources, mental health resources to support our students. And so the second pillar of recovery is engagement and truancy. Attendance has been a huge focus. And so one of the things that we've been sharing with boards is that when you look in your board packet, you all in your work packet have an attendance report that you get monthly. And when you take a look at those attendance reports, you'll notice that there's percentages. We're always looking at our attendance data month to month. And we also know that we can't compare last year's attendance data to this year's attendance data because we're still in a pandemic. And so this year, what we did, we worked with the policy committee early in the year to make an addendum to our attendance policy because we know that this year we've been impacted heavily by students that are quarantining and that are have also been sick with COVID. So one thing we did as a district is created some coding that we can use because we want to make sure that those absences are excused because we want to honor the fact that people are following the guidelines, stay home when sick prevention that we've received from the Vermont Department of Health and the Agency of Education. So again, when we think about engagement and truancy, we want to look at data, but we want to remember that the data we're looking at is reflective of this period of time and some guidance we've put in place. We also look closely, and again, this is on your board reports, at the special education population. And, you know, as a district, we're hovering around 21% across the different districts. And so again, we're thinking about are all of our students engaged in learning? And so as we look at, you know, as teams in our district at those two data points, then we go back to our recovery plan. And as a reminder, we collected feedback from our families and our community members and our staff. And for under engagement and truancy,
we've really focused on the importance of starting the day at the elementary level with morning meeting, at the middle school and high school level with more of an advisory format, just making sure that students have an adult that they can connect with to build a relationship, because often that's a link to success in school. And then we've also been able to revisit our local health curriculum, which helps teachers guide instruction around how to take care of yourself. And again, helps us to focus on attendance and engagement. So we also spent a lot of time in the second pillar under engagement and truancy, thinking about our models of teaching. So our professional learning question was all around how can we increase engagement in schools? And we've really focused with our staff on the universal design for learning. And so what universal design for learning is, it's all about making sure that kids have an equal opportunity to succeed. And it's all about making sure teachers understand how to provide flexible opportunities for students in a classroom setting so that they all can access what they're being exposed to, so that everyone can stay together. Peers are incredibly motivated by their peers. And so that can increase engagement. So we have professional learning offered. Castleton University has partnered with us to offer a book club that's available to all staff called My Students, Our Students. My Students, Our Students, Your Students. And then we also have the Vermont Superintendents Association is sponsoring a state training with Dr. Katie Novak, who is incredibly inspiring. And once a month we meet with her, and she's also exposed us to resources we can improve, we can use to improve instruction. And then finally, Dr. Leanne Young, who also focuses on inclusion, is working specifically with our high school and some of our middle school staff to take a deeper dive into practices at the secondary level to increase inclusion at the secondary level. So these are just some of the ways that we're working towards thinking about engagement and addressing truancy through the lens of attendance. And there's some action steps under this pillar that we haven't, because recovery is a long-term process. And so one action step we're super excited about and hope to spend some more time this summer is around increasing opportunities for student voice and choice. So that is one of our next tasks as we move forward. So I just wanted to give you a little snippet of Pillar 2, which is engagement and truancy.
And as I recall, you say this material is, some of this material is accessible at the SDSU site under, could you?
Yes, thank you. So if you go to the www.sdsu.org, right on our homepage, there's a recovery tab. So the whole recovery tab can be found there, which had many stakeholders provide input. Our plan was approved, and that plan that's listed on the tab to the right under planning and implementation is constantly updated. So we have people making notations in blue, so you can find out what action steps we're working on or making progress. And there's also a feedback button that's checked regularly. So if you have any community members that want to review the plan or have questions about this work or have ideas, the feedback button is always there for the community. Thank you for that reminder, Ray.
You're welcome. Any questions from the board?
No, I would just say though that it's so difficult. The time that I'm spending in our school, the truancy and COVID, and I imagine that it's a lot to manage for you.
It has been quite something. Yeah, so I think we're getting really creative about how we re-engage, because we have to think about, we have some of our younger students, some of them didn't have a school experience for a year and a half. And we have some older kids that might have disengaged. And so it is lots of creativity happening, Kim, to definitely get kids to reengage and to increase attendance again.
So what are the daily attendance, what do the attendance figures look like?
So I know you guys got your board. I saw it in your packet. We took a snippet from November of 2021.
Right,
So I'll give you an example, like at the Mount Anthony level, the attendance rate for November 2021 was around 83%. So it just gives you a gauge. But I will say in the last time I spoke to you, and now I'm even, we've hired 4 family engagement specialists with our ESSER, some of our ESSER money. And we are using them to meet students where they're at. So they can go in teams and meet a family wherever the family wants to meet and start to work with them to build the bridge to school. And we never knew we needed that position, but we really need that position now. So I spend a lot, like today I talked, I think, to 3 of the 4, just triaging different scenarios, but their enthusiasm and their creativity and how we build bridges to increase attendance has been super important. It's been a critical role in our district.
Laura, how much has their
Oh, Kieran, I can't hear you.
how much has the attendance rate dropped off since pre-COVID in comparison, I guess I would say?
I don't have a comparison in front of me. I know in your board packet, so I know you trail back a year, but Kieran, I'm going to write down that question. I don't want to give you specific, but it's Kieran, it is different. Yes.
I was just curious to see if, now that it's back at full time, 5 days a week as opposed to the
Yeah.
hybrid, if it actually got back to somewhat pre-COVID.
Yeah.
attendance
So
rate.
Kieran, I think that was our hope. I think what's impacted that is quarantining and the actual students that have been positive. So, if we follow the guidance, that quarantining window, we have students at home for a period of time. And so I think that's the biggest, even though these things were in place, it looks very different this year. And so that definitely has been a huge impact this year.
right. So these outreach people are hugely important
Yes,
to keep students who might otherwise be marginalized by this experience,
correct.
trying to keep them engaged.
Yeah, I'm super impressed with the creativity, just problem solving about, I think something we've learned, and we kind of talked about it before COVID, but it's become more important, like, can we offer experiences that aren't necessarily on site? Like, where do we have a group of families that all live together? Could we go
Right.
there and offer
Yeah.
an opportunity, like a math game or just to start like building, because it's all about relationships. And so we're rebuilding relationships that we might not have had for a period of time. And we want families to trust us, and we want students to feel super comfortable working with us. So again, the family engagement specialists have been involved in, I attended we did a virtual math night, and they even offered to station themselves like at a common place where a group of families live to help provide access. And then they joined in and just trying to make people visual even outside of the school, like actual building, I think has helped a little bit. And so we have anecdotal notes that we're headed in the right direction, but we're looking forward to seeing our attendance data increase.
So social and emotional learning was that's part of pillar 1 or something, right?
Pillar 1, yep.
Yeah, and so is that also portable in some ways to these site locations that you're
Yeah,
talking
oh,
about?
absolutely. Like, I think, and again, that is when our family, and it could be our school social workers, our counselors, they're trying to meet families where they're at. And so there are times where they might, yes, they're totally trying to make sure that access is a priority, especially for mental health services. If you think about the difference in the staffing, like we have like we have social workers, we have family engagement specialists, we have behavior specialists, we have clinicians, and we have counselors, and our nurses are unbelievable. You know, they all have this key role that they're playing right now
Right.
in wrapping around. But yes, Ray, we try to make sure that these resources are accessible to all of our students.
Right, because you have a substantial part of your population that's not in school, or at least not in a regular way.
Mhm.
And you really need to do that, what I think you referred to it as wraparound, right?
Yep. You wrap around, and you wrap the resources around, and it's a lot of collaboration and problem solving with the family and school staff. And again, you always want to hear student, you know, the students' feelings and voice in the process as well. So, and our community partners have been fantastic. Like, our community partners have been, we spend a lot of time with, we have a bi-monthly, a small group of us with the hospital and United Counseling Service. You know, again, just problem solving. Our focus of those conversations are primarily on mental health and wellness. And so we never did that before, and now we are. And so I have learned a ton about just our community resources in regards to social emotional resources, not only in our schools, but it's all of us. Like, that's the best part about, like, we can't do it all, and so we need each other to wrap around, you know, the kids in our community.
And this connects to the groups you've started of parents, does it?
For parent involvement.
Yes.
Yep. So part of there is a huge parent involvement component to the work that we do. You know, that's a requirement. And so we've tried to create parent engagement activities that people feel are accessible and creative. Some are around wellness, like how can we engage, the Fitness Fest is a great example that started last year out of need, and families could choose to do virtually, of course, but join, and there were health and wellness activities and cooking activities, just things that are fun, that we're trying to support, you know, families to do fun things. And that was a huge success that wasn't necessarily your typical literacy night or your math night,
Right.
but we got a huge turnout, and our staff was super excited about creating something unique that they hadn't created before. And then trying to, again, hold events off-site so people can access at different places and points.
I guess I have a interest in seeing some of that continue as we work our way out of the COVID.
I agree.
If we're working our way out of COVID, beyond reaching normalcy again, I think probably some of this work has usefulness beyond that point. So, of course, there's a money issue with that ultimately, because the ESSER funds are in 2 tranches, and they're done by 2025, right?
2024? September
24. Sorry.
September 2024. Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's right.
Yes. Yep.
2 years from now. 2 years,
Yeah.
2.5 years from now.
Yeah. So your
so-
conversations around infrastructure start now, and you collect data so you can really document what's, you know, working so that you can make cases. But yes, that's part of our work, is to try to build infrastructure to continue the things that have been successful.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone else want to ask something or talk? I don't see anybody volunteering, so thank you, Laura, for your presentation.
Hey, thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
it.
Yeah,
And,
thank you, Laura.
We'll move on to the chair's report, which the first part is, you know, preparing for our annual meeting, which again will be via Zoom exclusively. And speaking of which, who's going to run that Zoom? I don't recall how it was run last year. Was that did Tim do it? Or
It's a
did-
link that Superintendent Paul Keen has established, so he'll open the meeting and
Okay.
then just turn it over to you.
All right. All right. So our usual format that we've developed is to have a PowerPoint presentation regarding the school budget and the district budget, and then a PowerPoint presentation from the village school. And I sent the last year's presentations out to you guys to review, and mostly that's a question, is that we want to keep that format, because basically then we can just update it. And I may ask Tim to do that again, since I have zero competence in dealing with PowerPoint. So, so that was why that item's on the agenda. So if the rest of you would like to say something to that,
Ray,
I
were
would
you
appreciate it.
speaking to Tim Schrader or Tim Newbold?
No, it was Tim Newbold that did it last year.
He did it for
updated.
us. Good. Yeah, I
Yep.
couldn't remember.
Yep.
I think if that's possible, I think it's okay to go with that format, as
Right.
long as whoever's running the Zoom can.
Well, I think Tim took over the Zoom last year, my recollection, because he was basically running those two elements of the meeting. There was also, usually we have time in there for people to ask questions, and we had questions, and I guess mostly I responded to them based on what I saw in the minutes, looking at it again. If that's going that route, assuming Tim's willing to do that for us, if that's okay with you, I will work that out with him and let you know how it stands. There is one issue in the
Kim,
minutes.
did Kim have something to say?
Well, I was gonna say, I think that if he already has a presentation prepared for his board, and it's not too much of an added load to him, I say let's propose it like that. I just know that they're so overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
And I don't have really any great alternatives. I can start brainstorming and thinking of some. I can't do it myself, but that would just be my only caveat.
Right. Well, I will have to check with him about this. He's aware that he normally does this presentation, and I would suspect that he doesn't really have to rearrange images so much as maybe adjust content. And it's particularly on ours. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
And Ray, I don't think he's done that, like you said, in the past. And it's really, I don't think he's done all the work,
Right.
Already. So he's just inputting some change.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a big.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, what I'm hoping, because basically the format has been the same for a few years, and there's really no particular reason. If he wants to substitute an image, that's fine, but
Sure.
There's not even particularly a reason to do that, since it's only annually that it gets seen, so it's new every time, basically, to someone who's only viewing that meeting once a year. So I will do that, and I will let you know whether that's what's going to be happening. And
you, Ray. It's great.
there is one thing I need to make sure is acceptable. I noticed in our annual report that's being prepared. Actually, I think it's gone to the printer now, that Amanda prepared for us. There was a typo in the minutes of last year's annual meeting where the word article in one particular line was turned out to be Arctic instead of article. So I told her to change that in the printed copy. And she said, she told me that it was on me to get my board's approval for that. So basically, I'm asking you to accept that little amendment because I believe that was the intent of the language that was there. It just didn't get spelled out properly. So
Do you need a motion for that, or
it
we
needs
just?
to be, I think I want it in the minutes that we agreed
Okay.
that it was okay to
I
change.
agree. Yes, please
Yeah.
change it.
I would say yes as well.
Yeah, okay,
Of course.
thanks. Then just I'm going to deviate a little bit from the agenda. I'm going to go to other, which I think is in there. So we received a Freedom of Information request from a gentleman upstate, I believe. And but he asked for information with respect to high school choices. And so we don't offer high school choice. So except in the standard way that public high schools offer choice. And we have some individuals who take advantage of that choice and go to Arlington and vice versa. So Dina Atwood, the SU's attorney, I think, did she ask you, Laura, to respond to that request?
I'm gonna touch base with her tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we'll follow up. Yep.
Okay. So that was my, I said I'd be okay with the SU, either Jim or Laura sending a response. And I don't know what will happen thereafter. Dina says that if we, she suggested that because it was improperly formed, that we say, just reply that we have no such records to offer them, and see where it goes from there. Which may mean that we have to sit as a board and hear the request. And it may be that it then gets reformatted into a proper request that we can respond to, and we go from there. And the interest of this person seemed to be in terms of reviewing school choice, but in particular, he wanted to know about questions about scholarships, which we did ask questions about scholarships this year because we were alerted to the fact that one student in particular had received a small scholarship, in that case from Sacred Heart School. And so we asked all of the schools if they were providing scholarships to students who come from our district. And if so, then we would like them to apply the scholarship, and we would receive whatever amount of reduction there is in the bill to the district. So far, I've elicited, I've asked, but I have received no information from anyone other than the one party who had sent me their contract that showed that. So So that's what it is. We'll see what happens. Now that's wiped everything off my mind that I was going to ask. Think about there. Oh, yeah, well, the other thing is that we didn't have anybody file to fill our vacancy. So we have no one on the ballot to fill that vacancy, which means that someone could be written in or write themselves in. And for as few as one vote, we might end up with a person on our board. So if we can find someone who's interested in being put up as noticed as a write-in candidate, that would be, I think, a good thing to do, if we can find someone who's interested in doing that, or who contacts Lori and says that they're interested in being a write-in candidate. So that person could publicize it and we at least know about who it is. I don't know if anybody has any comments about that, but or anybody to talk to ask them if they're interested in doing that. But I'd appreciate knowing if you do have someone that you think might be interested in standing in that way. Okay. I don't have anything else this evening. So
Lori,
unless
Yes.
anybody wants to respond to my query here about any person we could contact. So
well, I've had some thoughts and ideas about that, but I wanted to speak more to this, what appears to be maybe a very widespread issue regarding ballot availability.
yeah, okay.
What's plan B here?
So this won't work for us, but the Secretary of State's office said that, for example, if Bennington chooses, if someone really is insistent on an early absentee ballot, we can make a copy of the ballot. They can fill that out, and then 2 poll workers need to fill in a regular ballot when the ballots arrive.
Uh-huh.
But that's not going to work for 1,600 ballots that I need to get mailed out.
Right.
So I did get a UPS tracking number today, and it just said there was no date given. It just said
Yeah.
no information. So, I mean, I think they're boxed up somewhere.
UPS, USPS. I need to know.
UPS. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. February 9th is the bylaw date that clerks have to receive these ballots. I know that. I spoke with Cassie in Bennington. I spoke with Marlene in Shasberry, and everyone's waiting for their ballots. Cassie got some of hers. She has several different ones, but yeah.
Do you know
So-
if it's more widespread than that? I mean, we're talking about
Oh yeah, it
supply
is.
chain that's statewide or region wide or national.
I think it's definitely, it's more than statewide. So, and we meaning the people, close to us, are Southern Vermont. I mean, we use the same ballot producer in Boston.
Right.
So, there aren't that many people who produce ballots like this. So, and they've been great, and, but.
Doing what they can.
So, yeah, I think it's a huge problem for me. It's already late,
Yep.
Even though we had it in immediately, all of you were early. I got it in immediately. Renee looked it over for me. I just didn't want to make a mistake with numbers, really. And yeah, I submitted it, gosh, the following day in the evening. So
Right.
I couldn't
Yeah,
have
the
done
fact that
any.
the fact that we missed that we're missing the state statute deadline speaks something to how late it really is, right?
Yeah,
Like it could have been earlier than that.
All right. So have you spoken to the Secretary of State about it?
yeah, today.
Okay.
Yeah,
And what did they have anything to offer?
just what I told you.
Yeah.
That, what I just told you is information that I received from them, that if someone was insistent on an early absentee ballot, needed it now because they were moving
Right.
away or whatever,
You
that
could
I
send them a copy.
So,
could
so
send them
they're,
a copy, but then I'd have to copy that onto an official ballot. Two
Right.
people would have to do that.
they're
So-
not considering the scenario in which we are all voting by mail.
No, and I
Yeah.
did leave that message later on this afternoon.
Right.
But I haven't done, what is he going to do about it? Anyway, you know,
So if the ballots come tomorrow or early next week, is this particular deadline going to create a crimp in sending them out? They'll become illegal to send out, or?
no, they won't. I need to send them out as soon as possible, as soon as I can get them together, and I'll do that.
Lori, what's the return date?
So they have to be, I have to have them by 7 PM on March 1st.
Yeah, it's an early
that's
year
when-
on the.
Yeah, it's all really early, you know?
Right.
So, I'll do what I can. But there's a lot of ballots that go out of state, you know?
Yes. Okay. And the Secretary of State's office, you'll be in touch with them again about that issue?
Oh, yeah, I've been in
Yeah.
touch, this guy that I'm dealing with is great. I've
Yeah.
been in touch with him multiple times
Right.
about different things.
Okay.
Well, 18 days, right? Still? 26,
26. Yes, that's our meeting date.
that's our meeting, but we still have until that Tuesday after that.
Right, so until the 1st.
The 1st of March. Yeah.
So we have 22
20 days.
days, right?
Not that
20
20,
days,
what, Kieran?
20 days,
20 days?
roughly.
And I don't even have the ballots.
Wow. But
What's
you
the
have
turnaround- what's the
envelopes and
turnaround?
postage.
We're not even
I
gonna
do have
20
postage
days.
and envelopes, yep.
I was gonna say, what's the
Well-
turnaround time on getting them out and like getting them, once they're in the mail, delivered?
I don't know, was it like 30, 40 hours of doing it? With a total of 2 people?
mean-
It's
You
a
mean
ton of it.
stuffing them and getting them out?
Yeah. I mean,
That's the
once
time
they're
I'm
delivered
talking
to the-
about.
Once they're
But the
delivered
mi-
to the post office, how long does it generally take? for
Oh,
Oh,
don't
God,
go
who
there,
knows?
buddy.
I mean, you could mail something, to Bennington and it could take a week.
You know
And
what?
then who's gonna
That's-
deliver it, right? It could get
Yeah.
there, but who's gonna deliver it? I mean, there's all kinds of issues.
I got nothing to say, except I can say something, I think I can suggest ways that they can be more rapidly delivered off camera.
Okay. All right. All right. So one other item which I sent around to Kim and Matt, not to Kieran because it was kind of a facility issue. There was some flooding, a little, not a huge flood, I think, but a little flooding in the music room. I spoke to Terry Marr, and he said he dried it out. It seems fine, but we're gonna have to look into why a puddle occurred at that corner of the building, which was the southwest corner of the building, the oldest part of the building, and see if we can't figure out something to prevent that in the future. This is the second time we've had a little flood there. Apparently there's no damage in this particular case. The previous case, there was some damage because there were violin cases on the floor, and we had, the carpet was not carpet tiles, it was a standard carpet, and that got some mildew, so we ripped it out.
It was significant. The damage was
Significant amount
significant
of
last
problem.
time. And
This time, we're fairly fortunate, but, and that was, there's been 5 or 6 years between those incidents. But, there's clearly some issues there that we need to take care of at that corner of the building. So we'll be talking about that, trying to figure out what it is we ought to do.
I think we know what we need to do. Ray, we fixed the problem originally, you and
Right.
and I think probably that needs to be revisited as not
Wait, Matt, what do you mean by that? The gutter? I hope you're not meaning the drainage and the whole.
No.
Okay, okay,
We worked on the window well.
okay.
And then made sure that the gutters were working properly.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
used hydraulic cement down through some of those crevices and
Yeah,
cracks.
flowable grout we poured into this one well that was where the problem emanated from.
And I
and that-
think we've always had a sigh of relief after a very heavy rain that,
Yeah.
boy, it's still.
I've
holding.
gone in and checked after rains,
Yep, no, it's,
but I'm not doing that anymore because I'm not really
Can't get in
even
there.
allowed in the building, so.
that's another part of my anxiety about it.
Yeah,
The last time it happened and then it wasn't found for
right, it was not
Maybe-
found over a weekend. And
over a weekend, and then
Yeah.
that led maybe to the mill, So
Yeah.
when Ray sent this out, I got very anxious about it. More anxious because I'm not there to, look at the situation directly. But we know
Sure.
what we have to do. We have to make sure that that window well is again sealed so that perimeter water doesn't fall into those cracks that then doesn't direct it to the drain where it should go.
Right,
And 2, we talked about adding significant amount of topsoil all around the perimeter of the building to create a, so that water that does overflow from gutter or just from the sky.
it's
It's
really
pushed
only
out.
this corner that,
Predominant, right.
yep,
And I would
Okay.
argue before you just put in topsoil, you would probably want to do something like a French drain or some sort of.
We
well,
already
there is a
have,
French drain.
we have those
Okay,
drains
okay,
there.
okay.
It's just getting the, as he said, you got this old rubble wall
Mhm.
that's behind all that sheetrock in the basement, in the
Right.
music room. When we exposed the whole thing, we had it sprayed, like sealed as
Mhm.
much as you
Right.
can, something like that, but with a lot of rubberized, sealant.
Right.
And then backfilled it. And the issue is that anytime you got water next to a building, if you've got any weak areas right around, such as that window well, you want the water to get pushed 8, 10, 12, 14 feet away from the foundation.
Right,
And even if things are okay north of that,
Mhm.
on the west side, if it all funnels right down closer to the building
Right.
there, that's what you have to do.
right,
And then I want to make sure that there wasn't any significant change in the gutter installation,
Mhm.
because that's the one thing that's changed in 6 years, is that the gutters were
The gutter.
removed and then put back on.
right. And
this year.
Terry pointed out that he had earlier, some months ago, pointed out that gutter had an issue. And he had talked to Doxy, and they said they didn't have the manpower to come look at it. This is, I don't remember the date, November, December, somewhere in there.
This is pertinent information.
Right, and they said they'd give him some tubes of silicone. And he said, well, I'm not going up there to hang from the roof and deal with it. So we talked about that again, he and I, yesterday when I talked to him, and he's going to get back to Doxy to get them to get up there when they can do so as soon as possible and fix whatever's wrong with it, because
But you
they
don't-
reinstalled it.
But
and
you don't
something
know,
happened.
you don't know exactly what it is. Like if
No.
there's a gap between the
He,
gutter. and
he
the-
says you can go look at it. I haven't not done it and
Ray, I'm back.
see a gap.
Are you
a
around
reason.
tomorrow afternoon?
What?
Are you around tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, somewhere. My shop, most likely.
I will try. I'm coming home tomorrow,
Okay.
midday. So
Well, I'm willing to go look. I just,
if not, maybe
has to be
Saturday
after
afternoon
school,
or
I think.
Sunday.
yeah.
Uh,
And so there's the gutter. I think the gutter figures in this in some way, because that's probably how the puddle got created.
Because the water isn't going into the French drain.
It's not going down into the drain system, right?
Yep.
And the other thing is that maybe we do want to consider a concrete apron or skirt in that area to help divert.
Possibly. Maybe
But
asphalt.
mostly we need, maybe the field needs to be graded down a little bit, so there's a natural slope. I pointed out to him that the as-built drawings from the 2011 project don't show the positive slope away from the building that they were supposed to show in that area in particular, just that area. Everywhere else, there is plenty of slope away and toward the drain that is in the field. But in this particular area, it wasn't. We did have some soil put in when the previous incident occurred.
Not enough.
Not enough. We needed
And
more
also,
buildup.
also with the new basketball court, not that there wasn't asphalt there before, but
Well, what we took out was an asphalt parking lot,
no, I
which
know.
went right up to the building. And so
Which
there was
probably
plenty of
helped.
water, but it was going elsewhere. It wasn't going to the building, so,
Exactly. Okay,
okay,
I got me
That's-
some Olympics to watch.
okay.
You
Well,
Lindsay, I'm just gonna say, Lindsay Jacobellis,
I know.
Winhall gold today.
Did she come
Oh,
here?
really?
Jesse Diggins, first gold. Well, it's her first gold after a horrible mishap in 08.
yeah,
But Jesse Diggins, Minnesota native, Midwesterner, trains at Stratton,
Yeah.
good customer. She got the bronze last night. Nordic first single medal at all in Nordic skiing. And she did get the gold last time in a relay, but she's got more to go. And Lindsay Jacobellis, I'm telling you, 36 years old,
That's awesome.
kicking it.
Yeah. Go old people.
Yeah.
right. And then Cochran, was it?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Ryan
Yeah,
Siegel
she got
Cochran.
silver medal, right? And she's the daughter of an Olympian who won a medal previously.
No, so
Her mother was an Olympian.
no, but it's a him.
Oh, it's him. Okay,
He's a
sorry.
he, and his mom won 50 years ago.
Yeah, 50 years ago. Yeah.
Right. Now that's cool. And we've got other Olympians. It's at SMS up there in in Bonneville, Stratton.
Yeah.
Mac Forehand still working on his he had a little mishap yesterday, but
And somebody won a sprint race, a sprint cross country race.
that was Jesse
That was
Diggins.
Jesse. That was Diggins. Okay. Yep. I haven't been following it that well. I just,
Well, I rarely do, but
kinda got
now I'm
these
all
names.
wrapped up in it. I can't get
Yeah.
enough. So
yeah. So Vermont plays in
we
some ways plays a
represent.
strong
don't we?
role.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. So I don't think we have anything pertinent other than to talk about, so we should,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
thank you.
Yep. All in favor?
All in favor, yes, all of
Aye.
it.
Aye, thank you.
Bye.
Beautiful night.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Thanks.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Laura.
Cat TV is celebrating 30 years of community media. Help support Cat TV's next 30 years by becoming a member today. Your membership will help us continue covering meaningful, local content. Thank you for supporting your local community media station.